right, today we're talking about something that is coming up real quick, at least in Florida. It already feels like we're here, but summer, and more importantly, how to approach your health and fitness through the summer without falling off, without feeling like you need to start over, or feeling like you have to miss out on all the fun.
Yeah, you said it's feeling like summer in Florida. It's not feeling like summer up here. So I am so ready for summer, for the tan line, sunshine, longer days, beach trips, pools, picnics, all the fun stuff that is involved in summer. And, this is where I feel like a lot of people either they just kind of step it up, right? They level up, or they just kind of hit pause in their health journey. Summer hits, you have routines that kind of go out the window or they change a lot, right? People tend to, I guess, just kind of have that philosophy of, you know what, I'll kind of get back on track in August. And next thing you know, August is like December and then January. And then we hit, oh, you know what, I'd have New Year's Eve or New Year's goals and everything. So nothing changes. So this is going to be a fun episode.
Yeah, and one thing to preface all this too, I want to say it's early. I will address on it more later, but do not wait until after summer to get serious about whatever your goals are. This is one of the biggest traps because if you can stay consistent in the crazy times, through summer, through busy, fun, social seasons like this, you will be able to consistent through any time. And it's important to start building the foundation now as opposed to putting it off for some later, better time, which ultimately never exists.
Yeah, and there might be different levels of your consistency, right? During the summer you might have more vacations, there might be more things, more responsibilities that you have, so you may not get into the gym as much, or your nutrition might not be dialed in, but you really want to make sure that those non-negotiable habits are as consistent as possible.
Exactly. And before we get into all the tips and tricks for summer, I am feeling freaking fired up today.
Uh-oh, tell us what's going on.
I am just back. So actually, last basically couple weeks, I know I mentioned this briefly to you and just kind of online, but haven't gone into too much detail. I've just been having like almost, I want to say health issues, but like I don't know the best way to describe it. Basically, ever since I got back from Egypt, my hormones have just been out of whack. I think it's purely just from the travel and being in the different time zones, and maybe being out of the routine and everything. But it really started taking a toll on me the last couple of weeks, and I've just been experiencing such crazy physical fatigue, mental fatigue, and it has just really just like fucked up my entire life because I wasn't able to train really. I wasn't able to play volleyball because I wasn't recovering. Like I just could not move. I was like out there playing and I literally could barely stand up. It was so bad. But then not only that, but then it takes the physical toll on me because obviously that stuff is like the highlight of my weeks and it's so important to me. And so not being able to do that, and then it just sent me into basically this big spiral with everything. And because I had this mental fog and mental fatigue too, I really wasn't able to focus on work and I was just getting stuck in those negative cycles. So everything was completely out of whack and I was not feeling aligned and ultimately not showing up as the person I wanted just for all the people in my life. Just I wasn't really there, like just very like just on to the next thing, not fully present and intentional. And just I also noticed that a lot of my non-negotiables and my habits just started to slip. I just let things go just because I wasn't feeling good. And so for one, I'm back. I feel better. Got things sorted. But that brings up just an interesting topic that one of me and my best friend actually talk about a lot is just the self-sabotage, and something that you and I have talked about too when it comes to people's fitness journey. When they start seeing some momentum and some success, then subconsciously they will self-sabotage themselves. And I always catch myself doing this now. Like I'm very aware of it. Like it's subconscious to some extent, but a lot of it I am conscious about. And so, like the physical part, like the fatigue and everything, that was something I couldn't control. But what I could control was how I responded to that. And how I responded was letting things slip and just kind of like falling and cycling, which was a form of self sabotage. Because before that, I had all this crazy momentum. I felt so good, like everything is clicking in all these areas of life. And I think very, very deep down, I still didn't feel worthy. And so then I just let myself self sabotage. So I think that was just something super interesting that came up for me, something that I still deal with, and something that we, of course, see with clients. And I think this happens to everyone to some extent because we all have those narratives in our life that tend to run us, even if we aren't fully aware of it. And then we get into those cycles.
Yeah, we do create those narratives, right? And often the narratives aren't realistic. We just kind of make them up out of the blue, and they're not always positive. So what was the big spark to kind of like get that change, move back to where you wanted to be and where you are again now?
Yeah, and there's really nothing crazy for me. For me it's just I was tired of feeling that way. Like I hate operating in that state just in the way I'm showing up. I just feel so unaligned, like I said, with just all the things that are important to me showing up in the business, showing up in for you guys, for relationships, everything. I just hated that feeling. I'm like, this is not me. And I hate letting myself down too when I'm not keeping the promises to myself because that's like one of my biggest core values. I'm like, I just feel like absolute shit. Like I hate this. And so I was like, all right, we need to put an end to it. So like after like I let it go for a few days, I'm like, all right, that's it. Like I'm done. And so I basically just drew a hard line and like sat down with myself in the weekend. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna recharge. I'm gonna make sure I'm doing what I need to do to fill my cup. I'm gonna set some goals, some targets for the week that are manageable, that are gonna help to get me back on track. And then basically just kind of journaled through some of the stuff that I was thinking about. And took the action steps I needed to kind of get my hormones to a better place and just kind of resolve that issue. And so then everything started to click. And then this week, picking things back up. And today was just like the best day ever. And like nothing in particular happened. I'm just like feeling locked in. So it's nothing crazy. It's just kind of drawing that line and knowing what I need to do and just actually going and implementing it.
You felt like you were back, right? You kind of like, all right, today I'm back. This is Mackenzie.
Yeah, like on a whole other level.
Do you feel like, you mentioned it. I was going to ask you, do you feel like journaling was a really big factor in kind of recognizing this and being able to reflect on it and kind of snap out of this?
I mean, always. Journaling is my go-to every single day for any sort of thing that I'm going through, any sort of like mental block or just stuff that I'm struggling with. That's always my go-to to help me work through it and process my thoughts and just articulate what's going on, plan out what I need to do, and just move through it. So, yeah, like that's always my go-to.
Well, I mean, I don't know if anyone else can tell that you were not yourself, but I know for sure, I know you probably feel better about it and are stoked to get back to Mackenzie.
Yeah, for sure. And that whole theme too of just like the promises and the self-sabotage, like that is a big theme that is in my speech too. So I feel like it's very fitting as I'm going through the speech practice and everything. And like I'm really speaking on like, hey, a lot of people either take action and then fall off or don't even take action because they don't feel worthy of the change. And I've gone through that in my past. And like we still go through those cycles like I'm going through now. So it's kind of cool to see that, I guess, in real action.
Yeah, yeah. And that speech will be very applicable and to a lot of people out there.
Yeah, I did my first run through actually for my best friend, like first time in person for someone, so that was scary.
How'd it go?
Actually, better than I thought. I couldn't look at him. Like I like turned to the side. I was like, I can't look directly at you. But it's also weird doing it for one person too. I feel like it'd be better when there's like a crowd of people because I feel like just staring directly at one person while you're doing it is just a little awkward. But other than that, it was good.
Well, I was just thinking about that. That actually might be better because I think it'd be easier to look out at a crowd of people and not really see anybody and just kind of not focus on anything. But when you have like that person standing right in front of you, that's good practice to be like, okay, if I can stare at this one person and give my speech, then I can stare at hundreds of people because I won't be able to really recognize anybody in the crowd.
That's true. I need to work up to that.
Yeah. And take two, you need to look at them.
Yeah, I agree. But it'll come in steps. But yeah, overall, it went good. Like I didn't like panic and forget anything, which was good so far. And he had really good. He's like a really great speaker and really good at that stuff. So it was just very reassuring to hear his feedback. And he thought like the speech was amazing. Just need to work on like a few tweaks with tonality and pausing and not talking super fast like I normally do. But yeah, other than that, it went pretty solid.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm sure you'll crush it.
Thank you. And speaking of, if anyone does want to come see me speak, I'll probably get into some more details on this conference too, in a future episode, just because it's been like such a weird experience. But I have some other thoughts on that. But if anyone does want to come see me speak in August in Vegas, would love to have you there. It's going to be super cool with breakout sessions. It's not just one of those things where you go and sit there for 8 hours a day, 3 days in a row. We're doing ice baths, we're going on hikes, we're doing breakout activities, workouts, all kinds of stuff. And just gonna be a really great place to connect and get a ton of value from all the incredible speakers there.
Yeah, Vegas, baby.
I mean, I don't like
Now,
Vegas,
if we never get you to watch Friends, for
but
those fans out here that know and love Friends, they'll know exactly what that reference is.
yeah, I still haven't seen it.
One day, one day.
Yeah, we'll get there. Maybe when I get a TV, which well, actually maybe we won't get there. What's going on with you though?
Well, I'm having a good week. Oh, so last weekend I was able to experience the Savannah Bananas. Have you heard of them before?
No clue what that is.
Okay. Okay, so Savannah Bananas, and I don't really know their whole history, so I might be, people can correct me if they need to, but basically, do you know who the Harlem Globetrotters are?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of like this is the way I describe it. It's kind of like the Harlem Globetrotters baseball version, except like on entertainment steroids. So it's like this, and I'm very impressed actually by the guy that started this whole thing. But basically, he started off by having this team, the Savannah Bananas, and their baseball team, and basically they do a lot of like fun, entertaining stuff throughout the game. And they have different rules. It's loosely a baseball game, but there's all kind of different rules, and they'll do things like do flips in the middle, while the fly ball's in the air, and then catch it, or they'll bounce the ball when they get it and then throw it to first base, or they'll, just fun stuff like that. And then it just got really bigger, 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 and so they have this huge show now. And actually, we saw it at Nissan Stadium in Nashville, and it holds 70,000 people, and it's sold out.
That's crazy.
And you can only get tickets through lottery. My oldest daughter actually spent one of her classes during the day, like getting on the computer and getting the tickets. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of entertainment. Some of it actually for me was a little overwhelming. It was just so stimulating. It was basically like I almost felt like I was it was an app designed to keep you just stimulated at all times because every second there was something. But I did really enjoy the baseball game and the athletes. They've all obviously have played baseball before. They're very talented and they all have special skills. Like there's one guy that comes out in stilts and pitches. And so and there's guys that, like I said, they're very acrobatic. So they'll be doing like flips in the middle of the game, and it's a lot of fun. So if people out there have not seen them yet, they need to go out and watch them. But it's a highly entertaining, and everyone there just seemed to have a blast. And I've talked to a few people that went also that I work with, and they're like, we had so much fun. So it was a cool experience. It was a cool experience.
Yeah, that sounds super cool. Because I mean, I've seen the Harlem Globetrotters like a long, long time back. I don't remember all the details, but I do remember it being pretty interesting. So I can't imagine what it is on steroids, like times 100.
Yeah, you'll have to, and anyone out there listening, if you have not checked, if you don't know anything about these guys, get on YouTube, just go, YouTube it, Savannah Bananas, and there's some really cool stories, of course, but just some really cool athletes and entertaining things. So it was fun.
I can't imagine all the work that goes on behind the scenes for them and just like planning out all the details because he says it's like so stimulating. There's always something going on. I can't imagine like all the planning that goes into that. That's just where my mind goes.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. I was so impressed by the guy that started because I mean, I don't think there's anything that he hasn't thought of to make sure that it's just a great, entertaining event that everyone walks away from it and says, wow, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I can't imagine how they come up with those ideas too. Like, I wonder the thought process.
I
It's like, all right,
know. I know
what
you're
could
like,
make this even crazier?
why did I come up with that idea? That's so cool. Yeah, it's fun.
Well, so yeah, sounds like a blast. Definitely got to look them up.
And other than that, man, I am, this is a great episode because I am so looking forward to summer. We have just a couple weeks left of school, so I am ready for summertime for sure.
Let's go.
All right, well, let's get started. So I want to talk about, there's a lot of positivity around the word summer, right? And a lot of great things. And a lot of times you talk to people about summer and they're excited about it and they're looking forward to it. But there's also some things kind of like there's like a often overlooked, I guess, emotional toll sometimes that summer can take. It's supposed to be fun, carefree season. We have beach days, barbecues, pool parties. But for a lot of people, I've realized, especially women, but it does happen to men as well, it can bring a lot of stress and bring a lot of pressure. The clothes get smaller, right? In particular for women, and layers come off. Suddenly, we're more exposed than we might be comfortable with, and whether it's sleeveless tops, shorts, swimsuits, and sometimes that can trigger insecurities, right? Especially if you're kind of already struggling with how you feel about your body. And, it's not just about the looks. It also can cause kind of a mental and emotional weight that comes with that feeling like that your body like just does not meet those expectations that either you have or other people have. And sometimes that can affect how you enjoy summer. And it can feel overwhelming, right? And so, I've talked to a couple of people about this. Sometimes they don't necessarily look to for, I wouldn't say they don't look forward to summer, but there's aspects of summer that they don't look forward to, and it's not because they don't like the season in general, just because it comes less about like enjoying that sunshine and more about like their insecurities or hiding parts of their body. And it's pretty heavy kind of to carry throughout the season.
I mean, I feel like this is a common theme when, especially recently, as summer is coming up on the calls that I've been on, a lot of people are saying like, "Hey, I want to feel confident in swimsuit. I don't want to feel like I have to hide myself or want to avoid these opportunities or going to events with my family because I don't feel confident in either my habits or just how I look or how I'm showing up." So it is a very common thing, and that I know a lot of us have gone through or are going through.
Yeah, and even myself, like sometimes, I'll get out there and like, like I don't feel as like ripped up as I should be, whatever. So like we all have our like own insecurities that we think about, and which is usually kind of ridiculous, right? And when we really break it down, but so we wanted to kind of go over a couple of things with that, and then we want to kind of talk about how this episode is going to help as well. So first of all, in terms of this aspect, think about like notice where the pressure is coming from. Like, is it from social media? Is it from ads you're watching? Is it just from old beliefs that you carry? And I feel like once you see it, and that's why I'd ask you about journaling as well. If you're writing these things down and you're reflecting on it, sometimes it's easier to look at it, in written form, and be like, oh, you know what? Like this isn't realistic, or this is just fake. Like I'm looking at social media, and it's like 1% of the world is on there showing me all this, and 99% it's not accurate. It doesn't look like this. So that was my next point: is kind of clean up your social media. Unfollow the accounts that don't make you feel good about yourself. Follow people who look like you, talk honestly about their body image, focus on more so feeling good and having good energy and being strong than just looking like a certain part. And I saw this stat the other day. It was like 80% of young women, and that's probably a large range to be honest with you, compare themselves to images on social media. And again, I don't know this percentage, but it really is like 1% of the population, that you're probably looking at out there. That's all ripped up and have the perfect body, stuff like that. And it's just not realistic for most people. And so it's obvious that social media plays a huge role in the self-esteem and body image. So one thing we talked about before in the past too is instead of saying like you look skinny, or talking about needing a summer body or something like that, focus on getting stronger. Focus on having great energy. Focus on finding joy in the parts of the summer that you love. And kind of just have a mind shift at what you look at. Instead of, oh my gosh, I don't look like the way I want to in this bikini. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling great. I'm waking up every day. I'm getting great sleep. I'm working hard at the gym. Everything's going, whatever the great things that are going on in your life is, really focus on those things.
Yeah, I think both of those points are super important with focusing on the things that are going well, focus on the small wins as opposed to, hey, I'm not where I need to be or this is what's wrong, whatever it is. And with the social media, especially, I feel like that is just the root of so many unnecessary, like negative thoughts and just insecurities. And I've gotten caught up in that too. Like you said, it's the 1% that you're looking at on there. It may seem like everyone is fit, everyone's in this insane shape, everyone's doing all this crazy stuff or having all this success. And that's literally the top 1%. 99% of everyone else is not in that boat and probably similar to where you're at, in a worse spot to where you're at. Like that doesn't matter. Like ultimately it matters what you're at, but you can't get caught up in comparing yourself to that 1% on social media because it's not the reality. It's not the majority. It's not where you're at either. And so I've even gotten caught up in that too. Like sometimes like I don't really spend any time on social media anymore, but in the past when I did, like I would even get insecure, even though like I consider myself like at that point I was like in decent shape, like nothing crazy, but like I would even get caught up in like, oh man, like I'm not doing enough. Like why do I look like shit compared to them? It's such a vicious cycle getting caught up in that, and it's really just not the reality.
Well, and even if it was reality, even if it was like 80% of the people are like that, you should never compare yourself to other people and the things they have and things like that. Your focus should really be on your own personal journey and the
100%.
successes that you had. And like you said, all those little wins that you're building up and you're working on that are becoming bigger and bigger wins, and all the consistency that you're working on. That's really what you want to focus on.
100%. Yeah, it's always you versus you. That is such a good point. Like, it doesn't matter what everyone else is doing, and everyone else is on their own path. You don't know their experience, their background, what they have going on in their life. You don't know anything about that. And so there's no reason why you should be comparing yourself to their journey, because you're on your own journey and it's just you trying to beat that past version of yourself, the version of you from yesterday, and just getting 1% better every day.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, yeah, love your journey, and like I think that's great. Like it's you versus you. Don't worry about anything else. Don't worry about anyone else.
Yeah. So hopefully this episode can help continue to give some tools to help go into summer feeling more prepared, feeling more confident as we take on this new season.
All right. So I think a really good shift in mindset is, kind of use the summer to your advantage, right? Like flip this narrative where summer doesn't have to derail you. Actually, it can accelerate your progress. So first thing is longer days, right? Longer days, more sunshine, more movement opportunities, get outside more, morning walks, after dinner walks, hikes, paddleboarding, yard games. Steps can really add up fast the more active you are. And you can use this movement for fun and socializing instead of just the gym time. So the big things with that, I know that with the summer, it usually brings the heat, right? So you need to adjust for that weather. So I think the biggest thing is having a plan. If you're like, oh, I think I want to get, 10,000 steps today. I'll go walking when I feel like it later. It's like 100 degrees outside. May not want to go for a walk. It may be a barrier. So have that plan on when you want to do that, whether that's walking early in the morning, whether that's walking at night. You can go walk the malls where you have air conditioning, walk stores, get a walking pad. We love our walking pad,
We
right?
do.
Or the treadmill at your house or gym, of course. But have a plan and know when you're going to do this. And that's going to be so much easier than just kind of relying on when you want to do this, your mood, and then realizing that, hey, it's just not going to be comfortable for you to do that. And then other thing, if you have kids and you have time off and of course, they have time off, spend that time with your kids just running around. Sometimes you don't think about it, running around the backyard, front yard, or park or something like that. All of a sudden, you've racked up tons of steps. You're more active, you feel better, and it's a win-win with the kids for sure.
Yeah, this is such a great time to just do some fun shit. Get out, be active, explore, go on adventures. Like you said, have some intention behind it, going with a plan to make sure that you are prioritizing staying active and doing these things. But it can be a great time to just have some more fun with it.
Yeah, that's the key. Have fun with it. Have fun. Pick something you want to do, or pick a bunch of different things you want to do, and just really enjoy it. All right, next thing is fresh seasonal foods. One thing I love when I go to the grocery store is loading up on fruit. And of course, there's different times of year when fruit tastes a little bit better, right? And so summertime is a great time for some of my favorites like strawberries and raspberries, blueberries, basically any berries, I'm sorry. Blueberries are always my favorite, and then of course you have the melons. I know my girls love getting watermelons. Cherries is a great fruit to have during the summertime. It's a great pool. I don't know why, but it's a great pool fruit. Just popping some cherries. And so yeah, I love to buy different types of fruits during the summer, and I like to mix them all up, make mixed fruit salads sometimes. It's just a great time for that. Especially there's a lot of people who don't get enough fruit in their daily diet type of thing, and so now is a great time to load up or try some fruit. And you never know, maybe you'll discover that you love different types of fruits now. So as well as different ways of cooking proteins, like grilling out. That's a big thing in the summer. And that could be proteins, any kind of protein. It could be vegetables, of course. I've also grilled fruit. That's a lot of fun. It changes the texture and the taste. So it's really a great time to load up on some really fantastic foods. High volume foods are going to keep you full, taste good, and that your body's going to love.
Yeah, even just hearing that list of fruit just is getting me salivating. It sounds so good. Especially
My kids roll their eyes, but I always joke around. I'm like, fruit is like nature's candy. It's so good.
really though, it is. I stocked up on some berries today and they were bomb. And even just the thought of like crisp pineapple or watermelon when we're at the beach playing volleyball, it just hits.
Yeah, yeah, and it's it's more. You say you use the word crisp. It's more than just the taste. It's the texture and how it feels and taste. I mean, it's awesome. Eat more fruit.
Yep. Moral of the story. Another one is when you have more social plans, we can frame that as a good way of getting in new practice. Summer is usually very social, and that is a good thing. Lean into that. Instead of trying to avoid events and getting worried about falling off or derailing from your plan, use them as practice to just make better decisions in alignment with the real world and your lifestyle. And this is where the lifestyle change becomes real because even if things are crazy, like you need to be able to adapt to the craziness. Even if you're out of your normal routine, you need to be able to have the automatic habits and just the intention behind it to be able to go and approach those things. So you're able to enjoy it, but also continue making progress toward whatever your goals are. So it really is a great time to practice habits. Even if you may have a little bit of extra time too. I know, especially for you, like being out of the school year, like you're probably gonna have more time to focus on other things and some of these habits. And I think that's the case for a lot of people. And even with that, it just comes down to your point that you made earlier about going in with the plan and having intention around that so that way you can make the most of the time or the extra time that you have, and put it to good use.
Yeah, just like kind of New Year's, it's a great time to kind of sit down before summer actually hits and say, okay, what are some habits that I would like to establish this summer? Like you said, a lot of people have more time, they have more energy, they might feel better about things, and they can experiment a little bit more and figure out what works and what doesn't work, and just really establish that. So when September, October, or even just all the way through until the new year, they've really dialed in some new habits, and become really consistent with their routines.
Yeah, this is the season to train for life. Anyone can be on plan when they're just alone in the normal routine, meal prepping, going to the gym, like going to work, all that stuff. The goal is to be able to live, travel, eat out, and still feel good and still stay in motion.
Yeah, that's a great point. Sometimes some people do really well, and they're just kind of stuck in that routine. Everything is exactly the way they planned it, and then they're able to stick to the routine. But when things change, that's when they have a really difficult time staying consistent. And so summertime is a great time where routines change and you have to be more flexible or adapt more. And so it is a good time to challenge that. Say, hey, okay, you know what? I normally work out at this time, but during the summer, I'm going to have to shift my workout time to this time, or I might have to, whatever it may be. I think it's a great time to challenge that and work on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Another big one is vacations, travel. I hope everyone is getting out there having some fun adventures this summer. But I know a lot of people travel in general, whether it's for work or vacation. You're gonna travel, you're gonna eat out, but that doesn't mean it has to be a total free for all. So we've talked a lot about tips to stay on track while you're traveling or on the go, but we want to go over a few of those things now. One, protein. Bring it everywhere with you, whether that's jerky, bars, shakes, tuna packets, Greek yogurt if you have a fridge, hard boiled eggs. So many great protein snacks that you can have on deck, or rotisserie chickens too. So have that protein with you. It's going to be the anchor. It's going to help keep you full, help you stay on track even when meals are off, and make sure that you're hitting that essential macronutrient, and so everything else can kind of fall into place. Another one is getting your steps in. I know you mentioned that earlier too, with just getting out, being more active, going on new adventures, explore cities on foot, walk to a new coffee shop, get steps in at the airport. I'm always pacing around back and forth before my flight. Um, you don't necessarily need to crush workouts every day, but that movement alone will help keep your body and mindset in check.
It is amazing how many steps you can accumulate by walking down uh, in the airport. The different gates. It's crazy. So yeah, definitely do that. And people watching is amazing as well.
I know we have a client that's always traveling, and every single time I think he comes back and mentions to us, like, oh, got all these steps at the airport, goal hit for the day.
Yeah, I love it. And your point about walking in cities too, I love doing that. And it's easy just to want to hop in the car, and it's faster, of course. But anytime you have opportunities to walk around, it's a lot easier to explore and really soak in the city and what it has to offer as well.
Yeah, even when I was in Austin, or even anytime I take a trip, like I try to find a hotel that's close to everything where I can literally walk wherever I need to go. Or in or I'm just trying not to get an Uber. So just if something's close by and I can walk, I'm just gonna get in some steps.
So three is kind of thinking about restaurant options, right? So most places do or will post their menus online. It's easy to kind of find out ahead of time. So again, it's all about planning ahead of it. However you want to approach that meal, just kind of know what you're getting and what your thoughts are and how you're going to approach that meal. And even if you don't track, which is fine, if you're going out to eat, sometimes people don't track. Just having that plan in place is going to make your choices much better as opposed to just kind of reacting. I know personally when I just kind of react to a meal or something, then it's typically not the best choice in the world. And so just kind of an idea of what I want to have going into it makes my choices much easier and I feel much better about it afterwards. And then strength training in some kind of form, right? So whether it's, some body weight sessions just to kind of send that message, to your system, hey, we're still building muscle here, like things like push-ups or lunges, squats, planks. We want to always keep that momentum going, which is way better than trying to be perfect and having that perfect workout all the time. Keep those reps going. But I think what it does, it establishes that consistency, right? And even if you're going out of town, even if technically you're taking the week off, you don't have a gym to go to or you don't want to go to the gym, just doing something a little more than just walking, like I said, body weight or something, or going down to the hotel gym and just getting in there for like 10 minutes, just kind of carries on that consistency. So when you get back, you just pick it right back up.
And it feels really good to move to when you're traveling, even if it is just something super quick. When I was traveling to Austin, I just got in quick mobility workout. I didn't really do much of actual training, but it just felt so good to move, especially after sitting on planes and just being out of the normal routine. So it really does help just keep the momentum going, keep the energy high.
Yeah. And obviously we've talked about this on episodes before. I think it's like episode, what? I don't know, 26. He put episode 10. I think those are two different episodes that we talked about it. So definitely go back and check out some of our old episodes as well.
Yeah, we break down specifically how to, like, in depth, all these things on how to navigate travel, how to stay on track, all sorts of tips and tricks for eating out, traveling on those two episodes. So if you want more in depth information on those, feel free to go back and listen.
Yeah, I think, the worst thing for someone, I think, in my opinion, is just going to be like, you know what, just double down on I'm just not going to do anything. I'll just kind of restart, like whenever I'm back, and again, we're not saying you have to be perfect on vacation. We're not saying you have to be super restrictive or anything like that. We just want you to have a plan, be intentional about what you're doing, and be able to enjoy it without the guilt and just have a fantastic vacation. So there's a lot of basics, be active every day, in whatever way that may be. And like you said, you'll feel so much better while you're down there, while you're on your vacation, as well as when you get back and kind of restart things as well.
Yeah, for sure. There's no better time than now to start. It doesn't need to be perfect, like you said. Just do something. Pick a few intentional things. And I always say, you can be enjoying life. You can be eating things you want. You can be going on trips, travel, having a great time, and still make progress towards your goals. Both should exist simultaneously. It's not one or the other. And so you just need to find the right balance and the right systems to have both.
Yeah, I mean, as a fan of Bananas game, you better believe I had a big old hot dog. I
There
mean,
you
it was fantastic. I loved it. It was great.
go. Yeah, and kind of like I was talking about with my Egypt trip too. Like I did not track a single thing. I ate whatever I wanted, but I was still making intentional choices and I came back making more progress because of just the automatic habits that I had in place. But I didn't sacrifice a single thing. So that's the sweet spot that we want to be at. Another thing too is just some reflection. Kind of like going along the lines with the journaling in general, but before summer gets away from you, just take a few minutes and reflect. What does summer success look like for you by the end of the summer? How do you want to feel in August toward New Year's, toward the end of the year? What's one non-negotiable that you can commit to no matter what? Think about something that you can maintain through any travel or something that's super simple, manageable for you. Or just reflect on what sort of things have tripped you up in the past, with past summers, past experiences. If you've kind of started something and fallen off the rails, how can you handle it better this time? Just taking a few minutes to reflect and go in with intention, I think is going to make a world of a difference.
Yeah, I really believe that the reflection piece matters way more than people often realize. If you don't really define what like winning looks like or what your awesome summer looks like, you're just going to kind of be drifting through it, just kind of going through those motions.
Yeah, for real. I think a lot of people in general just don't reflect on these goals, and that's why it's hard to get to a point where you're happy or successful in whatever the pursuit is because you don't actually have that clear vision on what that looks like. You may say, "Okay, I want to get fit or I want to get in shape." It what does that look like? But same with summer. Like it's very easy to just get caught up in normal cycles and just go into the trips and just like let things flow. But if you just take literally it takes 5-10 minutes just to slow down, go in with some intention, just reflect what do you actually want to achieve, what has derailed you in the past, what sort of struggles do you think that will come up. I always ask clients that too. Is like, all right, we got this event, like what do you think is going to be the most challenging part, or what do you think would potentially derail you, so that way we have a plan going into that and so we can avoid any sort of pitfalls that may come up. And then next up, just some simple mindset shifts that we can make going into summer, going into really any approach. But one is being that I have to be perfect. I know we touch on that a lot, but it really is progress over perfection. Instead of having to be perfect, why don't we just try to stay consistent? Yeah, you'll probably miss some workouts. You'll have some ice cream. You'll have whatever sort of treats you want. And that's not failure. That's life. Again, we want to be able to enjoy these things, but what matters is that you stay in motion.
Yeah, stay consistent always. All right, the next one is the I'll just start after summer. We kind of already mentioned this, but we kind of need to shift that to I'm going to start now, knowing that it's not going to be a perfect journey, knowing that there's going to be some ups and downs, but I'll just adjust as I go, and I'll try every day to just kind of do something that moves me forward. I think is that mindset of just I'll wait, or the mindset of maybe tomorrow. It's just a killer of progress. You're never going to go anywhere or get anywhere. So if we can just stay 70, 80% dialed in the summer, you'll be way ahead of your past self. You'll be way ahead of everyone else restarting up in September, and you'll feel so good about it, and you'll feel so good when you reflect back on the summer and say, "Wow, this was a really fun summer, and I felt really good about it."
Yeah, I think that confidence in yourself and making that commitment and promise and then following through and actually seeing progress despite things being out of the norm is going to be huge. Another one is summer's too busy. Yeah, it is busy, it is crazy. Instead, we can shift that and say, this season is my training ground. Like we said, like we're training for life. This is where you get your reps in. Can you still hit protein when you're on the road? Can you still get steps in when things are crazy? If you can learn that now, you're going to win in every season.
Yeah, it's like weekday versus weekend type of thing. A lot of times people are pretty locked in during the week, and then in the weekend they just kind of let go. Or the phrase I hate is like the cheat meals. People are like, oh, well, I get to have my cheat meals on Saturday and Sunday, and before you know it, they've like blown out of the water their entire week and just destroyed all the progress for the week. And so you want to win that weekend. Don't let it be a free for all. You still want to enjoy yourself, but stay consistent for the most part. Stick with those non-negotiables throughout the week. Stick to those goals that you want. Again, 80%, you'll still be locked in and feel great. The next one is I can't go out and hit my goals. We want it to be more so I can enjoy my summer and I can stay aligned. It's not about restriction. And if you feel like you are really restricted, then your journey needs a little reflection, right? We need to look at what you're doing and figure out how we can improve that. So you can go to the barbecue. I absolutely love barbecue. And especially if I'm in Texas, I'm definitely getting the brisket. You can have a drink or two. It's not like you can't ever have drinks, but it's all about being intentional, not the all or nothing. Again, having a plan, feeling good about, what you're doing, the choice that you're making, and being consistent with everything else you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. Let this be the summer that you build instead of starting over. Again, we don't need to be perfect. You just need to decide that this is what's important, even when life gets full and a little bit crazier than normal. And if you want support to that, we have a guide that we built specifically to help navigate making food choices while traveling or on the go. That way, the habits are more automatic and you can still enjoy life, these experiences, travel, all the things. I'll link that in the show notes. And don't sit on this until August. Start now. Your future self will thank you, and you will be so proud of yourself looking back at having a successful summer and feeling aligned with your goals and moving forward while being able to enjoy the process.
Yes, let's let this be the summer of you, right? So, okay, well, we'll catch you guys next week. Go enjoy your summer and stay on track.